Hey everybody. So yesterday I announced a new album. It's going to be out on the 25th of August. It's called The Hours of Darkness, and I want to tell you about it. I want to talk to you about it. If you want the quick and easy details, you can go to razorrednoise.com/darkness and get all that stuff there. But here I want to talk to you a little bit about where the album came from and the inspiration behind it and all that kind of thing. Um, So this was very close to being a self-titled album, just calling it Razor Red Noise. And that's because I feel like I'm at a point where I've written and I've put out quite a lot of material, quite a lot of albums. And I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of somebody brand new coming to want to listen to Razor Red Noise, confronted with this huge grid of albums and EPs and all this stuff, and going, I can't be bothered with this. I don't know where to go, and rather than trying to hunt through all this stuff trying to find something they might like, I want an album that represents exactly where Razor Red Noise is, the kind of style that I do. This is who I am, this is what I do in a single album. That's kind of what I try to do with each album when I put it out. But I think now more than ever, I've felt with such a large kind of back catalogue of stuff, I really wanted this album to be an absolute snapshot of this is Razor Red Noise. And so for a long time, even back with my earliest work, what I wanted to do was to write songs and write music that sounded big and sounded heavy and sounded powerful, and I simply didn't know how. And I think it's only just now and recently that I feel like I've come to a point with songwriting and the production side of things that I can actually start to realize and achieve that vision that I've had all this time. So overall, this album, every song on it, I think could be described very well by saying it is heavy and it is powerful. On previous albums where I might have done a heavy song and a soft song and a heavy song and a soft song, these are all pretty much big heavy songs, but they have those softer elements in them. So in a verse or in a bridge or something, that's something I tend to do quite a lot, is to back off a little bit in something like a verse, and then it makes the choruses hit even harder. So those softer elements are still there, they're just within the song themselves, and you've got a shifting dynamic in the song more than before. So you don't have within an album going heavy soft, you just have a kind of consistent level of energy throughout. So that's roughly how it sounds. I mentioned production. In terms of production quality, I think I'm in the best place that I've ever been in terms of all that stuff. I feel like I'm pretty confident with, mixing vocals that sound good, guitars that sound good, drums that I like, electronics that I kind of know, and I know how to fit them in. So I think, I'm quite happy with where all that stuff is. And on this album, I think it's got some of the most complex instrumental work that I've done. There is a lot of layering in there. There's some stuff that you probably won't be able to pick out individually, but what I really like about it is the fact that it all comes together to make, like I say, this big sound, this big powerful sound. And from a songwriting perspective, something that I've been trying to do in this album, for one, is use more guitars, especially in verses. Not just have the kind of power chord choruses and then you've got purely electronic verses and stuff like that. There is still a lot of that stuff in there, but it's now a better balance, I think. So I've got more guitars in the verses. Conversely, I've got more electronics in the choruses. So, you know, we're kind of closing in on that balance between guitars and the synths and the electronics that I think works really well on this album. You know, and I was surprised, even just going back and listening through all the songs, how many guitars were actually in the verses and had different effects on them than just basic distortion and power chords and all that sort of stuff. So I'm really, really pleased with the balance of that and how that's turned out. And I think now more than ever, you can kind of say this is the Razor Red Noise sound. We're definitely closing in on that, if not there already. So, like I said, with this album I wanted to really have a great snapshot of who I am and what I do with my music. You know, where is that in 2014? And I definitely could not have made this album if it weren't for all the ones that came before it. And especially right back to some of my early stuff. I really like the songwriting that I did way back on the earliest albums. So what I've actually done, a very, very small handful of the songs on this album are, I've looked at some of the old songs that I've previously released and thought, what would this sound like on an album in 2014? And I've answered that question by taking them and putting them on this album. So in a lot of cases that's meant pretty much re-recording everything on those songs. So we've got new guitars, new drums, new vocals, new mixing, new electronics in places. We've extended the songs out so they might have outros that they didn't have before or sound a bit different in the intro. And really I think the end result is, if you've not heard those songs before, if you're not familiar with my really early work, these songs don't sound out of place on this album, which is I think the best outcome. I think they really fit, and I was really happy that I was able to bring some of that the energy and the songwriting of the early work, modernize it, I think is probably the best word for it, modernize it and bring it onto this album, and it fits right in there along with all the new stuff. The majority of this album is brand new, you know, stuff that I've not released before. It's just 3 songs on it that are these kind of modern reimaginings, if you will, of songs that I've released on early albums. And especially the album's opening, after the first instrumental called Zero, you get a song called The Truth, which is one of these reimagined, re-recorded songs. And it's an opening that if you've heard my first album, you'll be very familiar with. And I think it's the perfect way to set the tone for the rest of the album and lead into the new stuff. And I really couldn't be happier with how that stuff turned out. So, you know, some people might have reservations about, oh, I've just kind of copy-pasted, oh, here's an old song, I can't be bothered writing a new one, I've just put it on and, you know, I can't be bothered. But it was a really conscious, strong effort, and it was quite hard work actually, bringing the songs forward and making them fit on this new album. And it really captures that feel of early Razor Red Noise and sits right alongside all the new stuff. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. I'll briefly mention lyrics. So a couple of times in the past with some albums, like my last album, The Parallel, and with a previous one, The Ghost City, I was trying to do a little bit of conceptual stuff with the lyrics. In this case, it's been a very kind of free-flowing writing process in terms of the lyrics. A lot of the time, I'll listen to an instrumental that I've written, I'll listen to the chorus, and a lyric will just pop into my head, and that lyric will literally remain the same, remain in the chorus from the minute I thought of it until the song's finished. You know, it'll stay there. So that happened a few times on this album. I stuck with those, you know, really early kind of first thought lyrics as I was listening to the instrumentals, because I write the instrumentals first. And then it's just been a very fluid, kind of dynamic process of not thinking too hard about the lyrics, but just letting them flow and having them sound, natural, without trying to make them cliche with respect to stuff I've done before or stuff other people have done. Still keep them Razor Red Noise, but just, like I say, just let them flow. Don't overthink it. Don't try and go super conceptual with it. And I think it's turned out well. Of course, you'll be the judge of that, but I'm happy with it. So I hope that was, interesting, perhaps. I can't wait for you to hear the album. I think I'm really, 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 really happy with it. It's powerful, like I say, that that it's really is a snapshot of Razor Red Noise in 2014, where I'm at, what I've learned, and kind of everything has been leading to this point. And I think it's I couldn't be happier with how it's turned out. So there's a timeline of previews and videos and all sort of stuff coming up on the website, razorrednoise.com/darkness. I'll be opening a slightly discounted pre-order on Bandcamp on Friday and on iTunes on Monday, so you can get it a bit cheaper before release if you like. I really hope you check it out. I at least hope you check out the videos that I'm going to be putting out from the album. One song, Night, is already out. It's been out for a few months. That was kind of the song which kickstarted this album's writing process in earnest. So that's already out. You can check that out. I'll have a new video next week, this weekend. It's on the website. The date's on there. And I can't wait to hear what you think of it. I could sit here and say I'm really, really happy with it over and over again, but I think I've made that clear. So thank you so much for all your support and allowing me to be able to keep doing this. And I have so much fun with it, and I cannot thank you enough for staying tuned and paying attention to it. It really is humbling, and I really, really appreciate the support. So thank you all. I hope you check out the new album on the 25th of August, and stay tuned here for previews, videos, all that sort of good stuff. Thanks guys, see you later.